What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of Big Men on Basketball. It is Tuesday, November 22nd, 2022. As we know, it is feast week. I'm going to tell you right now, before we get to today's games, there were a feast of bad beats last night, at least for me. We'll get to that in just a second. We already have some games in motion. Some have finished. Look, in my estimation, the worst Power 5 team in America being blown out right now, which we're going to get to. We couldn't do it feast week without Jim Root. He's not going to be on Thursday. I will be here by myself at 11 a.m. taking a look at basketball. However, thought we'd have him tonight. Big card, a lot of games. Jim Root, what's up? How you doing? Three-man weave in the building. How you enjoying the games? A lot of wild finishes.
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I've been walking through the landmine area, but I haven't stepped on any too terrible of bad beat mines. I know you've been a little less fortunate in that department, but I just know they're coming. It's like a guillotine above your head during feast week. You're going to take a couple horrible beats, and unfortunately, some of them have already come to fruition so far.
Yeah, no, and listen, I remember when I was young and I did this, I used to get like really irritated by this kind of stuff, and it would live with me for like hours, even into the next day. Now I kind of just accept that, it just kind of is what it is, and that's just how things go. But last night I had some brutal ones, quite frankly, and even ones that I threw out here on the show. One of my plays last night was Syracuse. Now, I think I'll say this. Probably was lucky that it got to overtime. That was probably a 2-point game either way. They weren't covering really at all in the second half. But you take the lead. Joe Girard misses 2 out of 3 free throws on a 3-point shot. He's a 90% shooter, right? You're up 6 with, 5 seconds to go. And what happens? It's that stone cold 3 that doesn't mean anything. They pan away from the camera, basically, and it goes down. Nothing but net. And I think what was really – look, if Belmont or some team that makes threes hits that, I'm like, well, whatever. It is what it is. But last night, Richmond, who shot like 30% last season, hasn't shot 30% this season. What, they make 11 threes last night? I mean, just
– Yeah, they cooked.
And they didn't even have Matt Grace. It was just really ugly. Then I had a play kind of off the record, a smaller play on Texas. I took the first half in full game. Texas scored 7 points over the final 12 minutes of the game. That's it. And they didn't cover. I had a live play with Temple. I mean, just ugly stuff. And then I know you mentioned late night, Arizona, Cincinnati, just a horrific beat there. These lines are on point, and they generally come down to the wire. You're going to get beat on some games like this.
Yeah, one thing, too, that I've experienced with a couple of unders I've had is even when teams are down 10 or 12 in the final minute, they want to practice late game situations like the fouling, the getting a quick shot, getting a quick 2, so they don't give up on games. In a normal, maybe in league play, middle of league play, these teams will be like, all right, we're down 10, let it go, it's fine. But right now, they're still trying to figure things out about themselves, expose guys to these situations, and it drives you nuts when you're like, all right, under, absolutely right read here, but there's 14 points in the final 30 seconds of a game that is not in question at all. So there's a lot of skewed type stuff early on, and I would say I'm probably a higher volume better than you. And so I've run into more of the bad beats, but when you're lower volume and you face them, I that has to be debilitating. Like if I had 3 bets in one night and 2 of them are bad beats, like what do you do?
This is one of the reasons why. And whenever I, come on these airwaves, I had the show previously, try to teach people stuff. This is one of the reasons why I keep units low. I don't bet a ton of games early in the season. This is the most volatile time in the sports calendar to me. As far as not only do you have tons of sports going on, but you have a sport right now where you just have to understand where the game even is. That's a challenge. Like there's so much going on. You got holidays coming up. To me, I think there is so much money to be made in college basketball in the first week or two. You kind of really slow down around Thanksgiving, get past like that first week of December. Then you could make a little money still in non-conference play. Then you're screaming until March. But this is a very volatile time in college basketball. If you're betting tons of games, it's not going to be easy, man. It's not easy at all.
Yeah, that's what I do. And part of it is I am a freak with preseason preparation. I try to get to a point where I feel like I'm at a better spot than the odds makers with all the writing and research and stuff. But I've whiffed on some teams badly, and that's kind of part of it when there's 363 of them. And it's just kind of figuring out at this point, am I actually wrong? Or is it a team like UC Riverside where I lost 2 bets with them early, but they made no threes and their opponents made all their threes? And I was like, I'm going to stay the course. And then last night they blow out Weber State. So you're just kind of like trying to figure all this out still in the first couple of weeks.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to tread lightly. I do want to get into today's action. I do want to quickly mention a couple of results that I'm starting to see a little bit of a pattern with. It seems like Akron is having major issues at halftime. I don't know why. This is now the second game against quality competition that they have completely fell asleep in the second half. I mean, they got blown out in the second half at the Barstool Invitational. Remember, what about 17 minutes ago, they were winning that game. They get blown out in the final 15 or so minutes of today's game against LSU. That's a thing that I'm going to keep an eye on. It doesn't seem like they're prepared against quality competition. Toledo, what has happened to this group? They look like a team that's going to have a major issue defending this year. I mean, it's fallen out of the cup for this team in the last 2 games.
As I'll just say, I saw a tweet from your boss, Mr. Portnoy, today saying since he anointed them national champs, they've lost by 20 as a 20-point favorite, by 11 as 11-point favorite. So I blame him. He has hexed that Toledo team, and I don't like it. I don't appreciate it.
Yeah, it's funny. It seemed like I had them going, and then, certain folks may have, put the hex on them. I don't know. But that said, listen, I don't think Dave was wrong in saying it. Toledo's a really good offensive team, and they look great against UAB, but I don't know what's happened the last 2 games. I think that and even in Oakland, they struggle to get stops. I mean, the pace of play they play at is hard to defend, and they're going to be a good over team. They're going to be a tough team to lay points with for a team that up until the last 2 games is the best team in the country against the spread over the last 2 seasons. One other note going on currently, I'm going to keep saying it. Louisville's the worst Power 5 team in America. I'm serious. I mean, they have 18 points with 10 and a half minutes to go. They're shooting 17.6% from the field and are shooting 10% from 3. Look, I get it's not easy to play Texas Tech, but what the hell is this effort? I mean, but it's not surprising, Jim, because I told everybody last night, against a competent defense, this team has like one good player, Ellis. That's it. Yeah. And Texas Tech completely shuts out what you want to do, and so does last night's opponent as well. So this is ugly for Kenny Payne.
It's really bad. But coming into this game, before they even get wiped out by Texas Tech, they had 31 assists and 74 turnovers this year. It's like that's horrible. I'm curious, Jeff, what would you make the spread between Louisville and Cal on a neutral? Because I think Cal is a particular kind of terrible also.
Yeah, I think you probably just make it a pick 'em and just
pick and stay
let people pick. That's how I would do it if I were a book. I mean, I don't want any volatility I don't think you're going to get volatility on either side, but it's a good question. I don't know. Maybe Louisville will start to pop a little bit as the season gets going and they face. This is a tough stretch. I mean, you're playing very difficult basketball teams, Arkansas and Texas Tech. I mean. But Texas Tech even has some injuries, so it's ugly. This is a really bad basketball team.
It doesn't get easier, by the way. Jeff Goodman tweeted it, but they go one more game here in Maui, and then Maryland's at home, Miami, Florida at home, at Florida State, Western Kentucky at home. Like, it could get gruesome, man. Gruesome.
Yeah, I mean, this is just a really awful program right now. And, look, this is what happens when you make poor hires. You make the poor hire with who is it? Chris Mack. I mean, that didn't work out.
I thought was a good hire, and it didn't go anywhere.
I mean, he ended up being an extortion artist or whatever. It's just a mess. But all right, let's delve into tonight's games because there's a lot of interesting games, and I want to shout out everybody in the chat. We got a lot of people in here. Appreciate you joining us. If you can, please retweet the stream on Twitter. That's a great way to get the show out there. Please, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. A lot of good programming here on the Barstool Sportsbook YouTube channel. And by the way, guys, do want to let everybody know, if you're in the great state of Maryland, my Maryland, the home to the greatest television show ever made, Baltimore. Tomorrow, Barstool Sportsbook is live in Maryland. So please go check that out. If you're in that state, go support. All right, let's get into today's card. I want to start with kind of a game that I think on the surface you're kind of excited about, but in the end, I'm not that excited about. Ohio State and Cincinnati. Look, I kind of talked about this yesterday. I thought Ohio State was going to have a lot of trouble with San Diego State. They're just not a team you want to play with guard issues, and Ohio State has them right now. Also, Mensa can really take Zed Key out of the game. San Diego State's just a terrific basketball team. They're well coached. I'm not saying Chris Holtman's not a good coach, but I've got some real questions about this Ohio State team right now. I got to admit, I was pretty impressed with Cincinnati. I will say, I think on the surface, I definitely leaned Cincy in that game last night. Wes Miller's just a good coach to me. What's your feel in this game? This was a tough one to me. I guess gun to my head, I don't have any interest in laying points at Ohio State right now.
Yeah, I would dog or nothing for me here, especially with it up over 3.5. I would or over 3. I mean, you get that extra hook. I would be on the Bearcats. I don't think there's a ton of difference between these two teams right now. Both are kind of integrating a bunch of new pieces, some freshmen, especially Ohio State. They're playing a lot of freshmen and transfers. So they're just not really figured out what they are yet, kind of sorting out pecking order. And Cincinnati, I thought, looked pretty good last night. I mean, they hit a ton of threes that helped them stay in the game, but I was kind of impressed. Miller brought out that 1-2-2 press that he used a ton at Greensboro. Granted, Arizona kind of lit it up, but Arizona's offense is out of this world right now. So I just think these are a lot closer to a pick 'em. So I would be on the side of the underdog here.
I think there's one thing I will say about Ohio State. I think in further into the box score, I don't think they were awful offensively, frankly. I mean, 77 points against San Diego State, pretty good. Thought McNeil looked good. What are you going to get out of Likely on a given night? Again, I mean, I feel like Zed Key is a better night tonight. It's not as tough a matchup. I guess I can make cases for both sides here, and that's really kind of my problem. This just is not a game I'm running to bet on. Probably is a good one, but I don't really have much on it. I hate to start with this game, but it's just really kind of one that jumped out early. By the way, did you bet anything early on this card as far as 4 o'clock or before?
I have Texas Tech, and I'm enjoying that quite a bit. I lost Eastern Michigan early. That was kind of a brutal beat too, down 2 with 15 seconds left. They lost by 7. But I'll take the Texas Tech winner here. At least I got something right.
Yeah, I took a shot with West Kentucky. I want to tell you guys something about West Kentucky. Okay, against bad teams, they're a pretty good bet. But against good teams, they just get outcoached. That's just something to keep an eye on. But yeah, Ohio State, Cincy, I don't have much on this one. Danny Meyer, Ohio State's still figuring out who they are. I think completely new team outside of Key. Yeah, and that's true. I mean, with Likely and McNeil and Sewing was in and out of the lineup last season. So a lot going on with them. And yeah, I think Cincy's probably a little bit more cohesive right now. But let's get to games that are a little bit more interesting. And this Creighton game is one that I kind of want to get into right away, because I look at this game and I'm going to be honest. I think if Kalkbrenner's fully healthy, which I don't think he is, but he'll play, right? He's not going to not play here. He's not going to be probably too hampered. I almost wish, though, he was fully healthy where I knew I wasn't having any sort of nagging injury, because Nick Smith's probably not going to play here. I mean, I guess you never know with college hoops, but I've heard you guys say it. I mean, I think we all kind of know it about Arkansas. I just don't really have much interest in Arkansas early in the season. They're not very cohesive. They get better as the season goes on. I want to back Arkansas at home as a 1.5-point favorite against Kentucky, or, a team that on paper maybe they shouldn't be a favorite against, and that home court just buries you.
Yep. Maybe
in December or January or February. Not necessarily now. I think Creighton's just really good, right? I think their offensive stuff is always going to be there. And Jeff Goodman, when I was on Roundball, Jeff Goodman told us that the reason he had them in the top 5, his preseason top 5, is because how potentially good they could be defensively. And I think we're seeing that here. If Nick Smith was playing, I think it's a different game, because I think he's Ark's best player. But without him, with what I'm going to get from Creighton, I think Creighton's a really good play tonight.
Yeah, I was a part of this line flipping. Not that I made it flip,
but
I got it. Yeah. I got it at when Creighton was a dog at +2. Now they're a favorite. I just think that's a part of like the trajectory of these teams. Like you said, Arkansas is never near their final form at this point in the season. Look what Texas Tech did to Louisville, and it took Arkansas about 30 minutes to do that to them, which says something a little. They wore him down because Louisville only has one guard, but that wasn't like a total home run performance. Whereas I was really impressed with Creighton in the second half. I don't know if they turned it over a single time in the second half against Texas Tech's defense, which is really, really impressive. Coming into the year, I was lower than consensus on Creighton because they were like ranked top 5 by a lot of people, and I had them 12th. But I think market, if by market you mean like KenPom and Bartorvik, is still kind of low on them. Like if this was actually a top 5 team, I think they'd be -5 against Arkansas on a neutral. So I think there's still a little bit of a bargain there on Creighton -1.5.
That's kind of my thought. And I'll tell you, early in the season in games like this, I look at it as a sign of good when I like a side and the numbers flip from dog to favorite. I think that's a strong indication that Creighton is the play in this game. And I agree. I think this line probably should be maybe a little higher. You're right. I mean, I had Louisville's team total yesterday. I ended up winning. It got a little scary at one point. I thought maybe Texas Tech or Arkansas was just going to kind of throw it in and pack it in, and it wasn't as easy as I thought. I think Creighton's a much better spot here. I think you play it. You're right. You'll roll it. You rock with it. Quick question here. Kyle Wright, what are your thoughts on FGCU Drexel? Look, I'm going to tell you something about Drexel. I don't think we have any idea what this group is. They played Arcadia College. They lost to Penn and UT Arlington, who is one of the worst offensive teams in America. You look on the other side, FGCU has played who? USC. They beat USC. Played another really good team as well. I'm trying to remember who it was. Maybe you can tell me. Tennessee. That's right. In those cases, I would lean on FGCU. I don't really think Drexel's in a spot right now that I'm really looking to back them. I don't really know what they are under Zach Spiker. And I like Pat Chambers, good coach. And he's a local guy too.
Yep. I like Gulf Coast there. And this is another one I think they started as like a 1-point dog, and now they're laying 2.5 or so. I think that money is right as well on the Eagles.
Yeah. Let me get to a play that I'm going to recommend tonight for the listeners. I have 2 plays that I'm going to throw out on the show. One of which, Jim, I got to tell you, I think one of these plays is my favorite play of the season so far. So I'm going to tease that here in just a moment.
I have no idea what it is for the listeners.
You do not.
I don't know. So
you do not have any idea what it is. This one though, I like as well, and I'm gonna play this. I'm trying to understand why Nevada is a 4-point dog to K-State. I heard Matt Cox, your partner, say that he enjoyed this one. I'm trying to understand this one. I like Marquise Noel. I think Desi Sill's a decent player. We've seen him kind of bounce around from Arkansas to the Sun Belt. Now he's in the Big 12 with Kansas State. But what did Kansas State lose? Nigel Pack. They lost some real talent from that team. I'm a big Nevada guy. I think all the press clippings I'm reading is that, Nevada is just a much more cohesive team this year. I've always enjoyed what they have there at guard. They brought in some transfers, one of which in Jared Lucas, who was up at Oregon State. They're a big team, big hawking kids. Will Baker's still there. I was kind of wondering as to why K-State was a favorite in this game. I don't really understand it. I know this one opened at 5. It's come down. I've even seen some 3.5s out there. I think Nevada's the play here. I'm pretty high on the Wolfpack in this one.
Yeah, Matt was really wise to Nevada coming into the year, and I was a little more skeptical, and they're undefeated against the spread. So he was definitely proven right there. Kansas State was another team I was kind of down on entering the year. I didn't know what we get from Keontae Johnson. Like, I know he was former SEC preseason player of the year, but was he going to be that after 2 years off? The heart condition, I don't know. But he's been really, really good, and they've defended. And Naquan Tomlin, the 6'9", really skilled big guy, has given them kind of an extra dimension as well. I've been really impressed with Kansas State, but I also think this line should be a little lower, even at 4. So I didn't actually bet it just because I'm still hesitant on both right now. I probably shouldn't be, but I think you got the right side with the Wolfpack.
First real test for K-State. This is who they played so far. Rio Grande, Cal, UMKC, Rhode Island. I mean, none of those teams are strong offensively at all. Okay, that's a joke of a schedule so far. I got to tell you, look, I know Tulane didn't have Jalen Cook when Nevada played them, but they beat them basically by double digits. I wish KJ Himes, I don't know if he's healthy tonight. I'd like to see him in there. He can give you 10 to 12 points for them. But I think Nevada, this is a close game. If anything, I'm going to take a shot here with the Wolfpack. I think it's a pretty strong play, even still at 4. I think it's a pretty good number. In these kind of games, you don't really give much home court advantage or anything. This is in the Cayman Islands, right? So
Yeah.
it's really just about who travels better, right? And I think Nevada just plays a close game. This one's right there. Kind of probably similar to that Syracuse game last night. Just kind of a close one. So I'm going to play the Nevada Wolfpack tonight against Kansas State. Any plays tonight on St. John's Q's? Yeah, we're getting to it. Just bear with us here. We're going to get to all those games. And if you have a comment or question, you're welcome to drop it here in the chat. We try to get to everybody. Almost 400 people watching us live on YouTube, many more on Twitter. Thank you for being here. Thank you for checking out. By the way, yesterday I saw on Twitter, one of the posts got like 30,000 views. So thank you for watching, guys. We appreciate it. Who would have thought? Nadu moving, Numbies.
It's because I wasn't on. They're ready to watch when I'm not here. I get it.
They hate when you're here.
Yeah.
But no, many people say Nadu doesn't do Numbies, but it's pretty clear he does. I mean, Nadu put out a video of singing Gasolina on camera at a club the other night, 650,000 views. So, yeah. All right, let's get to the next one. St. John's and Q's, right? This is in the Barclays Center. We got two New York teams, one from the city, one from upstate. I'm just going to say it. I should have known with Syracuse, to be honest, Jim. There are two teams that I hate, Syracuse and Marquette. I hate them both.
Oh.
Just both. I have no read ever on these clowns. Jim Boeheim, by the way, he has been at Syracuse for 47 years.
It's insane. It boggles the mind.
Yeah, I knew it was a lot, but 47 years.
Yeah.
The hell have you been doing with your life, Jim? And then you got St. John's, who under Mike Anderson, they had some trouble with Temple, but St. John's just kept finding ways to just, maybe lose the lead for a minute, but go right back up by 5. Just had more dynamic players. Temple kind of pissed that one away, if you will. But St. John's concerns me because this kind of feels to me like old school Jim Boeheim's just going to throw that zone out there and say, hey, like Richmond last night, make some jump shots. And the question is, when you back teams like St. John's or Richmond, you're really going to be almost the slave to the jump shot. If you can make jump shots, you'll win. If you don't, you will lose. To me, I'm surprised St. John's a favorite here.
Yeah, I don't think St. John's can make jump shots. That's the problem. They don't take many because they don't have guys that can really make them. Your backcourt is Curbelo and Alexander. Those guys are not shooters. You don't want them to be high volume shooters. So I think St. John's struggles to score in the half court. The one matchup thing that kind of has me a little worried is St. John's pressure is real. Like those guys get in your shorts defensively. And Syracuse is led by Joe Girard, who's not exactly a speed demon of quickness. And then Judah Mintz, who's like a freshman combo guard. I don't know how those guys hold up against the ball pressure. And so if St. John's turns them over 18 to 20 times, then they get a lot of free points in transition. And that's when I start to worry about Syracuse. But if they can keep it to a half-court game, I don't think St. John's can score. So that's the tug of war that I'm at with this game. I like the dog more. Again, I kind of think it should be closer to pick. So if I had to take a side, it'd be the orange.
Total open 154 or 151.5. It's up to 154.5. So correlation-wise, this seems like St. John's kind of with the movement. Because if you like the over, you like St. John's. You like the under, you probably like Syracuse. You're hoping for St. John's to not make shots. Syracuse kind of plods and, goes through the motions on offense. So, yeah, definitely an interesting one. A couple games like this tonight, right, where, kind of just flippy kind of games, no real home court advantage. It's strength against strength. Can St. John's hit some jump shots? That's the big question. By the way, is there a better comparison to a fictional basketball player than Timo Cruz from Coach Carter to Curbelo?
I do love that. Curbelo, give me 1,000 suicides before you're back on the team, that kind of thing.
Yes. Marty Mush of all people came up with that one. That's actually a pretty good one.
One time I did the math for how much he had to run to get back on the team, and it was like 74 miles. There's no way. There's no way.
That is a great movie, though. I watched that a couple of months ago. I just was lucky enough, and it was on, I don't know, some channel. But that's a good movie, man. We don't talk enough about Coach Carter. It's a good film. Kind of has that early 2000s feel, the golden age of growing up.
Oh, yeah.
Jim, how old are you, by the way?
33. I'm 33.
Same age as me. So you're from the same camp. The days of sidekicks, Nextels,
Yeah.
Baby fat outfits and Abercrombie. Just a legendary time. All right, it's time to get to the play, Jim. You ready?
The hammer?
Yeah, I don't
Curious.
like using the word hammer,
Okay.
lock, or anything like that, but I'm just gonna say I really like this play tonight. I really do. I'm playing this one. I'm hitting this one. Whether you tail, it's up to you folks. But I'm going to take San Diego State here, plus 1.5. I think this is a really great play, and I'm going to pattern this, Jim, off of last season. Okay, I called Arizona a fraud for most of the season at the beginning last year because what I saw, it was very interesting. They were beating up on bad teams, and what did we see? They went and played a real team. I believe it was Illinois. Got boat raced. Okay. Did against UCLA. Got boat raced. I've seen Brian Dutcher do this time and time again. He takes away what you want to do. You don't want to do what we want to do. You're not going to do what you want to do. We're not going to let you run in transition. We're just going to shut it down. And we're going to, again, turn you into a jump shooting team. I've seen Dutcher do it. Steve Fisher did it before him. And what I love about San Diego State this season is they're not that team that's only going to win 60s type of games. This is a much better offensive team, right? You have Lamont Butler, a year older. Trammell is a great player. You've got Matt Bradley, who doesn't need to be the guy on offense. Mensa, he is a star on a block. This team is a lot better offensively this year, and they can play and hang in games because they can score in a half court. They're not going to go 4 or 5 minutes without a basket.
Yeah,
I
last
look
year
at this.
they go 8 to 10 minutes without a basket last year.
Yeah, right. And that's not they've had these teams like when I was younger, I remember they had the Kawhi Leonard teams, right? Can you name anyone else in those teams?
Oh man, I'd have to dig deep. They had a guy that wore long sleeves, but then I can't
That's the
remember his
point.
name.
Not a lot of people can. I can. Malcolm Thomas, Billy White, DJ Gay. Like they had some good players, but this team is just to me more just kind of they have a couple really good players here.
Yep.
I just look at Arizona and I feel like I don't want to call them a paper tiger. I'm going to call them a paper tiger a little bit. I think San Diego State is the tonic to shut this team down. I'm going to bank on them tonight. This number screams San Diego State. This number has not budged off 1.5.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you something.
Part. I'm surprised.
I'm going to tell you something too. Yeah. I get a feeling they blow them out tonight. That's what I think. I think this is like an 82-65 type of game. San Diego State, big.
That'd be a hell of a coming out party for them. I mean, I've been high on them in the preseason, San Diego State, and there have been some people that are skeptical, but they're legit. Like, I think they're a real Final Four contender. They defend. And the biggest key against Arizona and Gonzaga, who I constantly lump into the same group because I think they play very similar. The coaches are obviously very good friends. You have to keep them out of transition, like you said. And San Diego State is elite at that. Like the pack line, they get back, they get behind the ball, they force you to score. The weird thing with this Arizona team, do you know that they're number one nationally in 2-point percentage and 3-point percentage right now? It's ridiculous. So I'm sure there's regression coming on the 3-point shooting. It's not going to be
again, remember,
year, but
Nicholls State, Southern, Utah Tech. I mean, as you know, here's the thing and why they've been so good on offense. You guys know this. You're smart enough. All those teams play tempo. They all go up and down. They're going to do exactly what you want to do. Yeah. Now, all of a sudden, and by the way, I think last night was a very good – look, Cincinnati did not play the right card. They allowed them to run, which is stupid. I don't understand that. I think this is a stone cold State play. Stone cold.
You see what the chat's saying?
No. What do they got?
Big Cat released Arizona as his game of the month. So it's Nadu versus Big Cat tonight.
Well, listen, Dan will tell you, I gave him an absolute hammer play over the weekend. North Texas under. By the way, did you see that game? North Texas and Fresno.
I watched it because I was on North Texas -7, and it was ugly.
Yeah. I had the minus. I think it was 5, but yeah, I played the unders one. I said to the big guy, I said, "Listen, dude, this game ain't getting to 110." I think it was at 108 with like 4 minutes to go. I'm like, yikes. Yeah. They didn't score. Nobody scored the rest of the game, really. So
it's ridiculous.
I hate to be on the wrong side of him. I mean, then again, I'm going to go with how I do things. And I think this is the best San Diego State team since that Kawhi Leonard group. Honestly, I think this is Jalen the Day gives you another kind of element as well. I love this team. I'm very high on this one.
Yeah, they obviously had the 2020 team that didn't get to play in the tournament, would have been probably a 2 seed with Malachi Flynn. I think this team's every bit as good. It has the capability of being every bit as good. We'll see where they get to, but it's kind of interesting that they played Creighton in the first round last year, and both those teams could be like top 10 Final Four contenders this year. It was a pretty solid matchup in the first round.
And one thing that's kind of forgotten with them is they have a pretty good second unit, with Arope, Seiko, even Keyshawn Johnson. Like they've got some really solid kids that can come in and give you some minutes. I'm in this one. I'm rocking with San Diego State here. I'm going to grab the 1.5, and hopefully we're good. Tristan said the transfer from Seattle is good too. Yeah, Trammell.
I love him.
He's a little water bug, man. Just kid can get into the lane. Hey, made a best man win tonight. So I'm going to rock with San Diego State tonight on this one. Let's get to this interesting game. Temple University and Richmond, the Spiders. Two teams that, obviously, if you know me, I'm a Temple guy. I had season tickets until COVID. I grew up watching Lynn Greer and Mark Macon and Deontay Christmas and Dustin Salisbury. This Temple team, though, is maddening. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to tell you something, and I don't want to admit this because I love Aaron. I really do. He's a legend in this city. Simon Gratz legend. He's a Philly guy. I don't think he's a great coach. I'm just going to be honest. I have a real problem with some of the late game hijinks that this team continues to do. Damian Dunn, just bad shots. It doesn't seem like Aaron McKee is fully getting through to not only him, but Battle, to be honest. They've had some issues that have been talked about. I just feel like they're all kind of doing their own thing. They seem disjointed to me. They should have won that game last night. No excuse. Didn't score over the final 2 minutes. And now I don't really ever know what to make of Richmond because they don't have Matt Grace. Not real good defensively. But I don't want to bet Temple. This is a live bet to me. I want to see kind of how Temple looks early. Maybe I'll get on them as the game goes on. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, a couple thhave So we call Temple the oscillating owls because they go like good game, bad game, good game, bad game,
Absolutely.
like every other game. I have a fear that giving that one away against St. John's last night could lead to a little bit of a hangover letdown. So that's why I think you might be right with like a live play. If they look dead early, I think you can step in on Richmond if it's like live -3 or something and feel okay about the Spiders. Temple, like the offense, sometimes we call it my turn, your turn. Like their offense is Caleb Battle, this is your turn, you take a shot. All right, now it's Damian Dunn's turn, I'll take a shot. And I don't like those teams. There's just not a lot of continuity, not a lot of flow to their offense, and that's bad news. So with that and with Richmond's like Princeton offense, Chris Mooney, his attack, that's tough to prepare for in 24 hours. Kind of lean Richmond, but the number's not right for it. So I like your idea of live playing it.
Yeah, it seems like Richmond maybe has found their shot a little bit, which bodes well here. I mean, they shot the ball well last night. As you said, they kind of make up to me as just they remind me a lot of Eastern Michigan, to be honest. Noah Farrakhan and Monty Bates, it seems like if they feel like playing, they'll play, and if they don't, they don't. And you're kind of a slave to what they want to do. Dave, Dunn, and Battle are similar. I like Reynolds. I like Zach Hicks. I like some of the ancillary players this team has. And it's a shame, too, because I think Jamil Reynolds is the best big they've had there in a long time, honestly. They've had some bad bigs over the years, but you never really know what you're going to get from Temple. And the oscillating owls is a great way to put it. I mean, you shouldn't have lost to Wagner, and then you got to beat Villanova. So it's odd. It's very odd. And I'll take Mooney any day over McKee, just that simple, which is a phrase that we've coined on this show. OB Lung says, would you ride Pacific tonight? Well, I would ride their team total for sure. I mean, I don't really want to back Pacific defensively. Pacific with Jordan Ivy Curry and all these transfers, I'm kind of noticing a pattern with this group. Good offensive team, don't really stop anybody. And Mount St. Mary's has turned up the tempo a lot this year, from what I've noticed. So, and I've also noticed something about Mount as well, Jim, is they played Coppin and USC, two teams that like to play with pace as well. They had no problem running. So I think you can kind of transfer what I'm saying as to kind of where I'm leaning in that one. What do you guys think about the under 166 in Arizona San Diego State? This is telling me that this is going to be a shootout and San Diego State's going to have to win scoring 85. It's crazy. To me, it'd be correlated. I don't have any interest in the total here. I don't really care about the total. I just want to hit San Diego State. So I don't have a feel for it.
I could buy that being correlated, like you said. If you like San Diego State and you want to hit the under 2, but they're playing faster offensively. San Diego State, their possession length is a lot shorter than last year, but defensively they still really slow it down and turn it into a slog. So I don't have a strong take there. Also, the rims, the Maui rims, they're soft. They invite jump shots to go in, so that's scary to take unders.
Any thoughts on Bradley Auburn? Yeah, I would watch yourself with Bradley. They've got all sorts of injuries right now.
Yeah,
and now you got to travel down to a tournament here. And look, Auburn's one of those SEC teams, kind of like with LSU today with Akron. They can kind of blitz you if you're not careful. So, yeah, I wouldn't have much on that one. I would kind of avoid Bradley with a 10-foot pole, if I'm being honest.
Agreed.
Luciano Vistanza, great content as always. Coppin State over is looking attractive. Look, anytime Coppin University plays, you have to lean over. They're always very guard dominant. Their coach is a great guard. Very fast tempo so far. Sam Sessoms, I mean, he's a better guard than they've had, and they've had some good guards there. Tark as well. Tonight, I mean, Towson's tough. Towson might put up 90 in this one.
Yeah, that could be up and down. Towson's got a guard that's struggling with back issues. Jason Gibson, don't know if he'll play. It's kind of like game time. How's it feeling? But if he's in there, that helps the over even more.
The thing about Coppin is generally they're not going to defend. It doesn't really matter who's playing. So I think kind of up and down. 142, if that's what you're getting, that seems a little low to me. Another injury game. Tulane, will Jalen Cook play tonight? I think they're in a great spot. I think Rhode Island is poorly coached. Offensively, they're a mess. Yeah. But I need Cook. I want Cook. I want complete health on this team if I'm backing them. Any thoughts?
It's Tulane or nothing. Rhode Island is terrible right now. Like, they are lost. Bunch of new guys that don't really get along with the coach yet. Like, they sat Brayon Freeman for a game for like disciplinary reasons. I don't know if they've covered a single game this year. I don't think they have. I would stay away from them. And if Cook's on the floor, if he's playing even like 15, 20 minutes, I would take Tulane. I don't know how Rhode Island scores against the like trapping defense that Tulane does.
I've also said before, and I'll say it again. I mean, you're basically getting a coin flip with South Florida. I mean, look, I'm not a big St. Joe guy, but I mean, they played a pretty decent schedule so far. South Florida is a disaster. I mean, Keyshawn Bryant's out. Again, I'm really probably never going to pattern you to tell you to take St. Joe's, but, I played Georgia, played Houston, should South Florida ever be this small a dog to anyone? This is so bad.
Probably not without Bryant, especially. I mean, St. Joe's was pretty abysmal yesterday, too. They got blown out by Georgia, but I think they're more talented and have a higher upside. And there's times it feels like South Florida's kind of quit, and that's bad news.
Exactly. Alex Wander, thank you, man. Appreciate that. Very kind. This is a good one. Vermont -1. Yale. Two teams, always good mid-major groups, James Jones and John Becker. Vermont is more talented to me. I got to tell you, I had Yale against I called the score basically against Mississippi Valley State University. Much different situation here. Yale's had that kid, the young guard they have. What's his name? Coling, something like that.
Oh, Matt Noling. Yeah.
To me, this number's a little short.
Yeah, I like Vermont personally. I think that's another one that's flipped. From Vermont was like a 1.5, 2-point dog, and now they're a favorite. And I think the Steam's got it right again.
How do you feel about one of these? And we don't see a lot of these games around this time, but you have just a stone cold home away game. Arizona State, Grambling University. Arizona State is rolling. We obviously saw what they did against Virginia Commonwealth. People thought, fraudulent. They didn't have Ace Baldwin. What would they do the next night? Blew out Michigan. By the way, Hunter Dickinson, this got a lot of play. Hunter called out that they were going to win by 20. They lost by 25. Do you think Juwan Howard said anything to him about that, or
I'm sure he's at least like, hey, let's you can
not
do the
do that?
podcast, but let's ease up on the predictions, man. You're just exposing us to bad news there.
I'll tell you what. Predictions, when you make them and they happen, feels great. But we are in the age, and I'm not one, I don't do this much anymore. I try not to because it's just corny when it happens to you, so you don't do it. I've kind of been done being the great call, dude, but people love doing that on Twitter, man. They love kind of, they're never there when you win, but when you lose, they're going to let you know. What do you think about Arizona State tonight? Because, I think 18.5 seems a bit low to me here. I mean, I feel like this line should be in the 20s. I mean, Grambling State is, well coached. I like Nante Jackson. They're going to play with a heavy tempo, heavy pace. But we know, I mean, these teams are generally in the SWAC outgunned in these kind of games.
I kind of love Grambling tonight. Not maybe in general, but I love them tonight. I think Arizona State might have a little hangover effect after their big win over Michigan.
That's kind of what it's saying, isn't it? The line maybe.
ASU's already lost to a SWAC team. Granted, it was at Texas Southern, but they didn't really blow out Tarleton State at home on opening night. And Grambling has some talent. Like Cartier Gordon was a top 50 recruit out of high school, went to SLU and has kind of bounced around, but he's really good. I just think this one kind of plays okay for Grambling. They didn't have to travel to this one. They just played at Grand Canyon. So they've been in the area for the weekend. I think that helps a little bit. So I'm big on Grambling there, but admittedly, when you back a dog like this, they could lose by 30 and you look like an idiot. So
I get the feeling we're going to have a lot of inconsistency with Arizona State. They're going to look very good at times. They're going to look very poor at times. Oh, by the way, last night, another bad beat I had, Tarleton. I mean, +7. Probably should have covered as well. I mean, I ended up pushing, but I mean, and they played Arizona State as well. A few more, and then we'll get out of here. Ryder against Rutgers. Look, I'm never too high on Rutgers, especially with some of the injuries they have right now. But this is an in-state matchup against, a team that they should be able to kind of handle defensively. But they're not fully healthy right now, so I'm kind of just passing over them on this one.
Yeah, full injury bet there. Like you got to check if Mulcahy and McConnell are playing for Rutgers. I think if they're in, it's probably worth laying the points with them.
I don't think we've seen McConnell yet this year. Mulcahy been in and out. Yeah, you want these full complement of guys when they're not there. That's not as ideal. Any thoughts on Syracuse? Yeah, we talked about that one already. I don't think any of us really were too high on it. Jim, any other ones that you have your eye on tonight?
I saw one somebody mentioned in the chat. I apologize, I missed your name, but I like Liberty a lot against Northwestern. I'm just not really impressed with this Northwestern team. And Liberty is a really good, like, kind of underdog play up against better talent because they slow the game down. They take a lot of threes. They're going to force Northwestern to shoot over the top of the pack line. I think Liberty is a pretty good bet. And he mentioned he saw +3.5. If you get that half point on there, I'm very into it. I would take it at 3 and definitely at 3.5.
Somebody asked earlier, I wanted to get to this one. Is Mississippi State a fluke or are they solid? I'll tell you, I think they're going to be a team that's going to do really well in the non-con against teams that, are solid, Akron, Marquette, teams like that. I think once they get into conference play, this is where it's going to kind of come together where they're not going to be as effective. They've had some really good advantages in some of these games, but I'll tell you what, last night was impressive. I mean, beating a team like Marquette, low-scoring game, could have much going offensively. Tolu Smith looked good, but remember, when you get into conference play, you're not going to have the advantage in every game against the Kentuckys and the Floridas and the Arkansas and the Auburns. So, yeah, I think right now you have to be happy with what you've seen out of that group. And I like Chris Jans. That was a great hire, but I think the rubber will meet the road and they'll have some more trouble in conference play.
Can I give you a comparison? I think is fairly apt. I think they're this year's Iowa State.
Okay.
Last year they rolled through non-conference and then went 7-11 in the Big 12, still made the tournament. I think Mississippi State could do something similar where they kind of scare you with how good their defense is in non-conference, and the SEC opponents kind of figure them out.
Yeah, somebody's asking in the chat about UMKC and Indiana State. Let me tell you something. There is a team that I have no interest in betting against when they're laying points to them. UMKC is a good double-digit dog, man. They don't get blown out. those junk zones that Marvin Menzies is going to throw at you are similar to the ones that Donlin was going to play with you. Raquandis Mitchell is a good player at Illinois Chicago. He's been good there. Indiana State's kind of a total opposite. They want to go up and down. I got a feeling Marvin Menzies kind of outshoots Josh Schertz today. I kind of lean with KC here. That was a nice win yesterday against a very good Toledo team who plays similar to Indiana State, Jim.
Yep. Yeah. Indiana State and Toledo were like cover darlings to start the year, and UMKC stopped one of them. Maybe they'll stop another one tonight here.
Yeah, 10.5 seemed a bit high. Two plays I like tonight, guys. I like Nevada +4, and I played San Diego State +1.5. Really like that one. That's a favorite of really several weeks here so far. Any other ones, Jim, you had an eye on?
No, I liked Creighton still at -1.5. I mentioned Liberty +3.5, and then I like UTEP laying points against Alcorn State. I thought I was going to get a good number here, getting like 7, and it went down during the day. I know it was at 5.5 at one point. I think it's been back up a little bit, but I think that team's really, really good under Joe Golding, guy that was really successful at Abilene Christian, has a roster that fits his approach now. I think they can cover 7 at home in El Paso against Alcorn State.
One final game here. A lot of people talking about Prairie View money line. A couple of people saying they're a lock. Listen, I don't think Prairie View is ever a lock. I do think they are better tonight than Texas San Antonio, but you have to hold your water a little bit with the Panthers here from Prairie View. Have played 2. Who are these teams? Kansas Christian. That sounds like a high school. And then they played North American. So they play the entire continent. Pretty interesting. I don't know who that is. Did beat Washington State. Not sure how they did that. I like this team, though. I mean, Gambrell's a good player. Will Douglas is a high-end guy. Wasn't he at VCU at one point or SMU or somewhere?
Something like that. Gambrell was at Western Kentucky. Like, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
They've got talent.
Rosas was down at Texas Southern. I don't hate it, but listen, I don't feel like you're going to win a lot of money betting small road favorites, just being honest.
Yeah.
But, hey, if you guys like it, roll with it. Jim Root, as always, great to see you. I'm going to hang on, guys, for 5 or so minutes, just kind of take some other questions here. But, Jim, good to see you. We'll probably see you next week sometime. I hope you have a good Thanksgiving. What are you doing for Thanksgiving? You hanging out or what?
I'm hanging around here. It's with being in the college basketball content game that doesn't really quit through feast week. So I've got writing and shows and a lot of betting to do. So I'll be enjoying it.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. It's this is a business that really never stops, guys. You know, that's the thing about sports bettors. You know, regardless of whether I'm at Barstool, I'll be Sam Rothstein in casino when I'm 70. I'll be sitting in my room handicapping basketball. There ain't no stops in this game. You got to keep going. There ain't really no holidays. So, Jim, good to see you, man. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the holiday, and we'll see you next week sometime.
Yep, sounds good. Appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, see you, Jim. Jim Root from the 3-Man Weave. Go follow him on Twitter at Second Chance Points. 2ND Chance Points. I'm going to put Jim's Twitter account in the description. I really urge you guys, man, go check out Jim. Him and the 3-Man Weave do some really great content. Couple questions, guys. If you have them, feel free to drop them. I know people always ask me, when am I going to be at Barstool next? I will be at Barstool Monday and Tuesday. At least Monday. I'll be there for Cyber Monday. I haven't decided whether I'm going to be there the next day or not, but I will be there all day Monday. So make sure you check in. We got to do Cyber Monday. A lot of big things coming up with merch, guys. So make sure you're showing love, getting merch. We got some cool stuff planned for Cyber Monday. And I will admit, I'll tell you guys right now, I am very involved with Cyber Monday. I was very involved with it last year with the big fight. Remember Jerry and I? We got another big show this year for Cyber Monday. We always do it big at Barstool, whether it's being buried alive or a pitch with a dunk tank or whatever. Some really cool stuff. I know what we're doing, and it's going to be awesome. So make sure you check that out on Monday. And make sure you buy merch as of Thursday. So that'll be fun. Chris Pelocha says Ben Simmons is back in Philadelphia tonight. F that guy. Love your show. It's funny. I was out Sunday night and I was at a bar that I go to a lot. I know kind of everybody there. And the owner of the bar has Sixers season tickets, and him and the guy that he takes. They were talking to me about that, and the guy that is going with him was telling me. I said to him, "Dude, you're going to get kicked out, dude. You got to relax." But yeah, they're going to give it to him tonight. I'll be looking forward to that. I'll be checking that out for a couple of minutes. I got to admit, though, I don't hate Ben Simmons like I used to. I just don't really care about him anymore. I don't wish him any ill will, though. I think what he did in Philadelphia was embarrassing. But listen, I will say this. I hope Ben Simmons as a person is maturing. I mean, we all do it and need to do it. I still need to do it a little bit. So, I don't think any of us are completely proud of some of the things we do. I tweet all the time and I say, why did I tweet that? 5 minutes or 10 minutes later. But hey, it is what it is. You stay true to who you are, I guess. Thoughts on Maction tonight? I don't have many thoughts on Maction tonight. I only really involved myself with a lot of Toledo this year. So I didn't really have much on Maction, to be honest. I would just continue to understand. I'll tell you right now, the only Maction game I would consider is going back to the well with Miami of Ohio. They're a home favorite of 2.5 points here. Both teams bowl eligible with a win. It's now or never, guys. Chuck Martin, I just like. I'm not a big fan of John Paddock as a quarterback. I think you go back to I told you guys last week I like Miami of Ohio. I kind of like them again this week. This is a big time game for both these teams. You obviously want to get bowl eligible. That's a key. And you look at these teams defensively. I'm always going to take Miami of Ohio in this kind of game. Plus, these teams haven't played each other in a while. Kind of interesting. But yeah, I definitely kind of like Miami a little bit. As far as the other game, not really playing for much here. I think is Ohio. I feel like maybe they're playing for something to get into the MAC title game or something. But I got to keep up with it. I only bet Maction if I really love it, and I'm kind of focused on the rest of the week. Kind of the championship games and preparing for this week as well. So the only one I would look at is Miami tonight. Yeah, good luck, Dylan. I hope you cash. I'm on the other side, but I wish you luck, bro. I'm just tuning in. Who are you taking in the ACC this year? Virginia. All right, guys, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. Thanks for watching. It is 4:52 on the East Coast. What a wild day in World Cup. I got buried in World Cup today. Wild day for sure. Yeah, I'm out of here. You guys enjoy your evening. For me, 2 plays tonight. I got Nevada early, +4, and I also like San Diego State, +1.5 late against Arizona. Do you always do the show at 4 o'clock? Yeah, I'm not sure how many times I have to answer that. Yes, do the show at 4 o'clock. I will say on Thursday, though, it'll be at 11 o'clock due to the Thanksgiving holiday. I'm back tomorrow, same time, same place, here on the Barstool Sportsbook. As always, I hope you enjoy your night. Make sure you check out the Brandon Walker College Football Show. It's live at 6 o'clock Eastern. I will see you all tomorrow here, 4 o'clock. We'll see you then. Don't be late. I'm out.